This is a tale of a man who once ruled Libya with an iron fist for 42 years, feared across Africa and courted by kings. How he fell, hiding in a drainage pipe, clutching a golden gun and begging for his life. For over decades, Muammar Gaddafi was the face of Libya. He came to power in 1969, a young fiery soldier who overthrew King Idris in a bloodless coup. Back then, he was hailed as a hero, a revolutionary who promised equality, Arab unity, and an end to foreign domination. But as the years rolled on, the revolutionary became a ruthless ruler. He banned political parties, silenced critics, and built a network of spies so tight that even whispers could lead to disappearances. He wore flamboyant robes, lived in a luxurious tent, and called himself the brother leader, the king of kings of Africa. He poured Libya's oil wealth into his dreams, building cities in the desert and sponsoring movements across Africa. He funded militants abroad and ruled with fear at home. The world tolerated him for his oil, but his people suffered under his arrogance. Then came 2011, the year the desert wind began to shift. Across the Arab world, the Arab Spring was sweeping through like wildfire. Tunisia fell, Egypt rose up, and soon Libya began to burn. In February 2011, protests broke out in Benghazi, the eastern city that despised Gaddafi's rule. At first, they were peaceful. Young men chanted for freedom, women waved flags, and crowds shouted, "The people want the fall of the regime." But Gaddafi's answer came in fire. He sent his troops, his tanks, and his fighter jets. He vowed on national TV, "I will fight to the last drop of my blood." He called the protesters rats and drugged agents of the West. But the more he tried to crush them, the more they rose. Soon Libya plunged into civil war. Eastern cities fell to rebel forces calling themselves the National Transitional Council. Western cities stayed under Gaddafi's grip. By March 2011, his forces were closing in on Benghazi, threatening to wipe out the rebellion. The world watched in horror. Then came the turning point. The United Nations passed Resolution 1973, authorizing forces to protect civilians. Within hours, NATO jets from France, Britain, and America, they took to the skies. They bombed Gaddafi's tanks, his convoys, and his command centers. His army, once feared, began to crumble. By August 2011, rebels stormed into Tripoli, his capital. The Green Square, once the symbol of his power, erupted in celebration. Statues of Gaddafi were torn down, his portraits burned. Still, the old colonel refused to flee. He retreated to his birthplace, the dusty coastal city of Sirte, determined to make his last stand. For weeks, NATO planes bombed from above, rebels closed in from every direction. Gaddafi hid, moved from house to house, surrounded by his loyal guards and his son, Mutashim. Then came October 20, 2011. A NATO airstrike hit a convoy trying to escape Sirte. Gaddafi's car was struck. Wounded and dazed, he crawled into a drainage pipe. The same man who once lived in golden tents, now hiding on the ground. Moments later, rebel fighters found him. They dragged him out, bloodied and confused. He shouted, "What did I do to you?" But the mob was wild, years of rage exploding at once. Gunfire erupted. The man who once ruled Libya like a god fell in the death of his hometown. At age 69, Muammar Gaddafi was dead. When the news spread, celebrations swept across Libya. The world watched as the desert lion who defied the West and terrified his own people met his end, not on a throne but in a drain. His death marked the end of an era, but also the beginning of Libya's chaos, as rival militias and factions fought for the power he left behind. So when you hear the name Gaddafi, remember, he rose like a storm, ruled like a desert king, and fell like a man who forgot that no throne, not even one gold, lasts forever. I'd like to know your thoughts on Gaddafi. For more stories like this, please follow, like, share, and subscribe.